ever, ever, ever touch my drum set. You understand? Don't touch it!
Hey, what's going on? A couple friends listened, and they said I need an intro, and I was going to get a plant or something. They criticized my background, but that's what friends do. So I got the intro. We'll work on the plant. Anyways, legit, thank you guys for listening. It's an honor. I know this isn't for everybody, but if you're listening while you're working or just hanging out, I hope all's good. And I hope you're getting something out of it. Tonight, well, this episode is going to be a little heavier, I guess, than more. It's going to be about intentions, both past, kind of in the middle, and now and in the future intentions for me with drumming. You know, I know a lot of people do that, like why I started or who inspired you and all that, but we all know, like, we're inspired by watching someone play drums or hearing something or seeing something on TV. So that's nothing new. But for me, I was always curious about drumming. So my intentions, even before I got a drum set, was curiosity. I was intent on getting my hands on a drum set that I could play and figure out. Like, I just knew that I could do it, and it was just something that intrigued me. It's kind of like that little voice inside your head telling you, you know, to go a certain direction or try something out. Once I got a drum set in high school, it was like the intention was to play with my friends, to be in a band. Literally, there was nothing else. I didn't really have lessons, or I wasn't getting graded, or, you know, anything like that. Didn't have to play, you know, specifically for school. It was just learn some songs to play with friends. That was the big intention. And then I guess I kind of was good at it for being self-taught, at least, you know, where I grew up. And I kind of got an identity of being a drummer. And I guess up until that point, you know, most people will, you know, get into sports, or they'll be super smart or talented in some way. And not to say that I wasn't smart or talented, but I was just kind of like Dan in school. You know, I didn't really have a thing. I wasn't really into a certain sport, like super hardcore. I just kind of got along with everyone, did my thing. Drumming was really like my first, like, this is my thing. I'm really good at it. And it kind of gave me that confidence, like that identity of being a drummer, right? Graduated and went to college, and obviously I'm like, well, that's it. Drumming's over. Time for the real world. And I remember, like, the first day at college, I met someone. I walked by a dorm room, and he was playing guitar, and I was like, oh, there's someone who does music. That's cool. And I just had this need to be like, hey, I play drums, you know, like, what's going on? I'm a drummer. And I didn't even have, you know, an instrument or whatever, but I wanted him to know that I play drums. You know, you want to connect with people that are interested in the things you are. And it was like, I couldn't hide that identity of being a drummer. I wanted to, like, scream it, like, I'm a drummer. And I think that's a good thing, right? It's like, whatever, you know, if you're proud of something, if you've worked on something, and, you know, you got something going on, it's like, you want to let people know, right? I think that's okay. If you're cocky about it, probably not the best, right? We all don't like those people, but I just wanted to hang out with other musicians and to let them know, like, that was my thing. Eventually, I took a drum set to college, and we jammed, and it was great. We had a band in college, which we ended up moving to LA, and that's how I got there. You know, it's like that reason of, you know, wanting people to know I was a drummer. And I didn't even have the idea of being a musician. Like, at that time, that wasn't, like, in my mind as an option. It was just like, I'm doing this thing. I went to school at first to be an elementary school teacher, which was not for me. So, you know, like, I shifted paths, but luckily, I think it was because of that confidence, that I got in high school and in college playing. Like, yeah, this is something I'm good at. My intention is to let it be known that I'm a drummer, right? Moving to LA was, doing all the stuff we've talked about in other episodes. But my intentions when I was there, looking back on it now in the mindset of old Dan, my intention wasn't to get better at the instrument. It wasn't to get the biggest gig or to become the most famous, whatever. In all honesty, my intentions during that whole time in LA as a drummer, my only intention was to not fail, right? I went out there for a purpose, to be a musician, coming from a small town and kind of putting your foot down, at least for me, it was like, I'm going to LA to become a drummer. And everybody, except like my parents and my sister, a couple of friends maybe, thought I could make it, but they were all probably like, he'll be home in a week, I bet. I remember leaving like my part-time job at the grocery store. They're all like, oh, being a musician is hard. And, I just had this like to prove them wrong mentality, I guess, for everyone who said I couldn't do it. Right. So being out there, doing school, doing music, doing all that stuff, I obviously wanted to get better and get good gigs, but the whole purpose was to survive out there and not fail and come home, with that, like, oh, I did not want to have that feeling. Right. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it never like bothered me, like, oh, I'm stuck here doing this because I'm too proud to go home. That never occurred. Like, I never had that thought, but it was that driving force, like that fear of failure, right? Of going home, or just people knowing that you gave it all and you weren't good enough to really, pull it off. Or at least what you put all your cards in. Because let's face it, as a musician, we're gambling. There's no set path or like step 1, do this, fill out the form. Step 2, get accepted into the school. Step 3, graduate. Step 4, get a great job. There's no like, do this, do this, do this, and you're fine. Like literally everybody's path is different. It's so uncertain. It's one of the most riskiest things you could do is get into the arts if you want to like survive. And it's just, it's not easy. So it'll be kind of like a shorter episode today, maybe, who knows? But after that, intentions, when we moved back here to Pennsylvania, it'll be 4 years now. We moved back here so the kids could have like a smaller town experience and, just slow down. LA is fast. It's just crazy, right? And we really wanted to, be around for the kids as they're growing up and just slow down, right? And being online as a drummer, right? When I started doing remote sessions and when social media started coming around, like the ability to post videos of yourself playing online, some people embraced that and some people shied away from it, right? The old ways of, going out, gigging, all that stuff. Yeah, it's very respectable. Totally get it. I feel like I've been lucky enough to see both sides, but I'll be honest, being in the side of like trying to get gigs and auditions and all that, the online world was way easier. 100%, hands down. And I'll say that a billion times. Online stuff, although, I spend hours and hours getting stuff around for streaming and editing and all that. I'm not talking about like it's easy work. It's easier to get noticed, or it's easier to kind of, if you do it right, if you're good at it, it can really benefit you as opposed to like, I'm going to play this club every night until someone finds out who I am, or I'm going to go to every audition. Like that's a hard way to go, where just the visibility and stuff that you can do to get attention online, it's easy, right? You play the right cover, you do the craziest thing, you do the blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows what to do to have success on social media as a drummer. I hope by now we do. Be either just so uniquely crazy good that like people just cannot help but pay attention. Play like cool covers and do the things with good quality, good quality equipment. It doesn't have to be the craziest drumming in the world, but it's entertaining, especially for the drummers who are just coming up, who are learning. They kind of want to aspire to do the same thing. So you got this audience of people who enjoy drum covers, and they're mostly younger drummers, not younger maybe by age, but newer drummers who like to watch how a song is played, or just the excitement of it. But 9 times out of 10, most people aren't going to drum covers to listen to music. They're usually a drummer of some sort. Kind of lost my train of thought, I guess. But it's easy to kind of be successful as a drummer online if you put in the effort and you have the talent and you know the right things to do, right? I'm not saying it's like clickbaity, but I've heard other drum podcasts talk about it like low hanging fruit, and I agree. It's we all know what to do, right? Do the Slipknot cover, do the cool shreddy hip hop thing, whatever. We know what to do. But those intentions that I had at the time when I got into Twitch, when I started doing online stuff, it was the easy route. I'm like, I'll just do covers. I can pretty much play along to anything, spontaneous song requests. Like I could play along to most things. It's not super crazy, but it's easy. It's super easy just to show up. There was no effort involved other than going crazy, looking at audio and video stuff and learning it. Like that sucks. It sucks. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. Learn about cameras and lighting when all you want to do is just drum. Turns out I actually like a lot of this stuff, but my point is, showing up on Twitch was easy for me as a drummer. That intention was wrong, right? It was easy. It was lazy. You just show up, jam along. It's not really creative. It's not really pushing me as a musician. Just my intentions were easy, right? It was easy. And that brings me to like the current intentions. And again, maybe this comes with maturity. Maybe I'm super late to this. But I'm glad I kind of have this perspective and I'm being honest about it with myself. My current intention with the instrument is to get good, right? That's like the big thing. But my intentions are purely based around this instrument now. And that doesn't have to be for everybody. And I know everyone's at different spots. But I'm at a point right now where I do want to be successful as a drummer, right? I don't want to just, my intentions be not failing. Like I'm not failing. I made it this far. I'm not worried about failure or going anywhere with my tail tucked between my legs. My intentions now are kind of the same thing. Like you want to be noticed as a drummer. You want people to pay attention to you and like what you're doing. But I don't want that to be just because of a silly, crazy look at me lick or a clickbaity kind of thing, or, that low hanging fruit of I just play covers and people will check me out and think I'm cool. That's awesome. Like, I don't want to put that down because, man, I did it forever. Like, I'm the guiltiest person of that. But what I'm doing now and my intentions with this instrument are to really work at getting better at it, to really understand it, to be able to speak through the instrument, and let my playing dictate what happens to my future, with this instrument. Because I know right now, if I got the call of like a dream gig of mine, I wouldn't be ready. I know 100%. And no matter how much I practice, even if they gave me, a year to prepare, I could do the gig, but I know it wouldn't be what I really could be bringing to the gig. So my intentions right now are to build up confidence, and again, let my playing dictate what happens as far as how far things go with me and this instrument in this industry. Whether that be just practice until, I don't get to do it anymore, or, get to that point where all this practicing is gonna, turn into something of a real voice for me behind the instrument. So it's exciting, but a lot of stuff I just kind of wanted to, again, this is an episode of just saying things out loud. With the intent in the beginning of curiosity, like, could I do this? To not wanting to let people down or, to fail. To like, okay, this is my intentions right now, or let's get some easy attention from this, right? Or easy success, because I could, right? And to now it's, I'm going to, really let my playing dictate what happens next. And it's still a gamble, right? We're still, I don't know, musicians, we're weird. We're never happy. We're always like getting one thing, moving on to the next. We're never content, I guess. At least I've never met a content musician. We're always searching for the next sound, or, our voice, or whatever, we're always on the hunt. But it's exciting. I think my intentions now with why I'm doing this day in and day out, why I sit in that room behind that kit, I think these are pure, honest intentions rather than what they were in the past, Not just to get ahead by a show-off thing or, having the nicest equipment or whatever. It's more, this is me playing, and it's the honest truth. So, yeah, feels good to say this stuff. I know some of you have reached out, so I really appreciate that about, enjoying, I guess, the honesty behind it. And I know a lot of people think this. I know a lot of drummers in particular kind of go through all this stuff. So reach out to me. Let's chat about it sometimes. I like talking about this stuff, especially now, I guess. Maybe I'm just in that old man reflecting period of my life. So hopefully you get something out of it. It's good to talk about. It's good to think about like what your real intentions right now are with what you're doing behind the instrument. Is it to get success a quick way? Fine. It's cool. Is it to get a gig? Is it to, get better? It could be any of those above, and that's okay. But for me, looking back on it, I think my intentions sometimes were misdirection. It's not where I wanted them to be. They weren't pure. They weren't like good intentions with what I was doing. Not that I was out to hurt anybody, but it's just like they were selfish intentions. Like I really wanted things to go good for me. In the easiest way that I could. So yeah. Until next time, there's a lot I want to talk about. But thank you guys for being here. Yeah, it was a deep episode, I guess. I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna edit anything. We're just gonna do these freeform. So yeah, come say hi on live streams. If you don't know, I used to play drum covers on Twitch all the time, and I don't do that anymore. And it feels good. I just practice. We geek out about drums, all that kind of stuff. It's literally a drummer hangout, like if you're hanging out at a drum shop, just drum stuff, and it's really fun. So come hang out, reach out, say hi, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.